Hello my friends, and welcome to another video. The last few videos I've made have been about market prep, and this one's no different. I am heavily focused on getting ready for this market, but I also do have a few other things that are keeping me from making as much as I would like. If you're new here, by the way, my name is Chris. I do have a full-time job, and I'm also preparing for a shop drop on August 28th. So I have been making some Halloween versions of my product that I created called the Hook Keeper, as well as my switch markers, and trying to add some new products to the shop. So that has taken a lot of my time as well. In last week's video, we sat down and took a look at everything that I wanted to make for the market and kind of plotted them out into each of the weeks so that I had a goal set for myself of making at least that and knowing I would have those items hopefully for the market. What I did after that video is I sat down and took a look at my task list, because aside from the things that I want to make for the market, I had a ton of kind of administrative things that I need to do before the market. Things like ordering materials for like bags and stuff like that. I don't know what I need as of yet. So I took all of those administrative tasks and plotted them alongside everything that I had for the makes for the week, so that each weekend I could kind of take a look at what I needed to get done the following week. So in today's video, we are actually going to tackle one of my administrative tasks, and that is taking a look at my mystery bag charms and deciding what I want to do with those for this upcoming market. In my first market, I made mystery bag charms, and they were basically little mini crochet plushies on a key ring with some beads and little dangly bits. I'll pop a picture of one up here. And they were a huge hit. I sold out of them. I think it was the first day of the market. I may have had one or two left on the second day, but I want to say I brought 12 or so, and they all completely sold out. I then made a bunch more for the next market, which was a holiday themed market. So I had the regular ones as well as some holiday themed ones. And I think I only sold one or two. So it's really interesting to me how at some markets they were a huge hit, others they weren't so much. I don't know if it has anything to do with the seasonality or anything like that. I haven't done enough markets to really know for sure. But one of the things that I wanted to take a look at is not only what I have, because I don't remember what I made, but also I was talking to another vendor at my spring market, which didn't sell any mystery bag charms, by the way. But she was actually someone who bought like 3 or 4 of them from me at the original market. And I was having a conversation with her about it because I made her a special one and brought it to her, which she really loved. It was a little bookworm. She has a bookish themed booth. But she was telling me that the area where it connects to the keychain, she had an issue with on one of them. So I wanted to take a look at that because I do remember the way I constructed that, and I had my reasons. I'll show you that in a few minutes, but I think I want to make a little bit of a change there. I'm also trying to figure out what I want my strategy to be. Do I want to bring these as mystery bag charms, or do I want to just hang them up and sell them as bag charms? So we're going to open them up. Let me show you what I actually do to transport them and get them to the market. Hopefully I'm not going to make a ton of crinkly sounds, but I basically keep them in this zipper bag, and I had individually wrapped each bag charm in some tissue paper and put a little sticker on it. And then on the back side of this, I have extra tissue paper. My boxes are packed flat. And what I do when I get to the market is I will go ahead and pop the boxes up, put a mystery bag charm in it. I still don't know which is which because they're wrapped up. So I'm going to open these bad boys up. We're going to take a look. I'll show you the different ones that I have, and then we'll make some decisions on how we're going to move forward. And I figure I'll show you really quickly. This is what the boxes look like. So I just bought some iridescent different color stickers and used my mun bin to do little question marks. And then on the top, it just says mystery bag charms. And then I have my barcode on the bottom, and I was charging $12 for these at the markets that I've taken them to. So let me finish opening these up. I just wanted to show you what this looked like really quickly, and then we'll talk through everything. All right, let me show you what I have as far as my current mystery bag charms. I will list all of the patterns in the description. Some of these I have multiples of, some of these I just have one, and I do remember kind of doing it that way so that there was stuff that was a little more rare. And I know some have probably sold. My memory's coming back to me now that I'm looking at these, but let me show you some of these mystery bag charms. So I have a few that are mushy boys, and I have these in several colors. So I have 2 of the red, then I had one in this little purple top, this kind of wine color, and then a green. And then each of them have, you know, crystals that kind of coincide color coordinated to the different color mushroom tops. Next up is I had sitting bees. So I had 2 in the black and 2 in the brown. And again, they have kind of crystals that coordinate with the colors in the plushie. I had 3 little chunky kitty cats. So I have this gray one, then I have a pink one, or a mauve kind of color one, and then a little white one. Then I have 2 squirrels. So I have a little brown squirrel with his little goofy eyes. And then I have this one. Then I have a little snowy owl. And then I have a little chunky dragon with his little wings and tail. So let me show you what the issue is with the connection. My original concept was I looped through some yarn to make it, and in my mind, this was so that the person, if they just wanted the plushie and didn't want it on the keychain, they could easily cut it. I had considered doing a few different things. I considered looping in a jump ring, and I also considered using, these keychains have a secondary lobster clasp on them. So I considered using that to hook through, so that way it was removable. But I'm thinking now at this point that I probably want to go ahead and use a jump ring. I also do not like the chain that I have on these. I have later purchased a thicker chain. This chain I use on my switch markers. It's thin, it's light, and on a switch marker you don't necessarily need a lot of heft. But on these mystery bag charms, I do think I want to add a little bit heftier of a chain to this, and I do have a thicker chain. So I am going to be taking these guys apart and redoing how they are connected to the keychain itself, as well as how the dangly bits and everything are secured with this chain. All right, so I'm back. I tried 2 different things, and I thought I would show you and then kind of let you know what I'm going to go with. So one of the things I tried was clipping directly into some stitches using the lobster claw that is on these keychains, and I've seen other people do that as well. And that's okay. I like that the person can decide that they want to take the plushie off if they want to and just have the keychain, and they don't need any special tools or anything, which is kind of what I was going for originally by using yarn to attach it. But I do, now that I'm re-looking at these a year later, I do not like the yarn, so that's definitely coming out of all of them. But what I ended up doing was swapping out for a slightly thicker chain and making it a little shorter, so that there is a little bit of distance between the keychain itself and the plushie. And I think that I like this better. So I did use a jump ring to secure the plushie to the chain, and I do think that's better. Now, if someone doesn't want the plushie on here anymore, they are going to have to open up the jump ring. But I figure if you're buying a bag charm, you're buying a bag charm. So your expectation is it is attached. So I think this is what I'm going to go for. So I'm going to be sitting down and updating all of these so that they have a shorter, more sturdy chain, and are attached to the plushie using the jump ring. Now, when it comes to what I'm going to do as far as the mystery charms themselves, I'm not 100% sure. I always get nervous that someone's going to buy something in a mystery item and not like it and then have an issue with it, and I'm going to be faced with having to figure that out. But at the same time, the first time I sold all of them and no one had that issue, so I need to kind of stop thinking that way. But what I think I'm going to do is maybe a little bit of an experiment. Because I was really torn with just putting these out as bag charms and letting people buy them or keeping them in the mystery box. So I think what I'm going to maybe do is on Saturday, it's a 2-day market. On Saturday, I'll put them out as mystery bag charms like I always have and see how well they sell. If it doesn't seem like they have a ton of interest, if it's a scenario where I have maybe sold 1 or 2 and that's it, Then what I'll do on the Sunday is have them all taken out and hang them up so that they're just bag charms. And then we'll kind of see what happens. You know, do people gravitate more towards the mystery type of thing, or do they just want to pick what they want to pick? Like I said, I haven't done enough markets with these. I haven't done enough markets in general to really have any kind of trend or anything. So I figure, why not do a little bit of an experiment? We'll see how well it goes and kind of take it from there. I will, of course, share all the details of what ends up happening with you in the market recap, so be on the lookout for that. All right, let's talk about this week's makes. First off, let's remind ourselves of what the goal was for this week. So the goal for this week was to make a Baphomet plushie and a plague doctor. Let's start with the Baphomet. This is a pattern by Dorgledom on Etsy. All the patterns I talk about will be linked below. This particular designer I had never heard of before, but as I mentioned on last week's video, when I was searching for a Baphomet pattern, this one kind of stood out to me as far as the look and feel. I liked the way the finished product looked, so this is the one that I went with. All right, let me show you my Baphomet. Here is the Baphomet. I absolutely love this color palette. I mentioned this before. I did this color palette with the Devil Bear. This is Parfait Plush. I used a 6.5mm hook. This is yarn over. Everything this week was yarn over because I feel like the patterns that I purchased were all intended that way, so that is what I did. I do very much like the finished product. There are a few issues that I have with this pattern. This pattern is very plain. There are really no instructional photos. There's a photo of the back of it so you can kind of see where they placed the wings. But other than that, there's really no information on assembly or anything. The one thing too that I will point out with this pattern is that I was doing the head, and again, you're supposed to read through the whole pattern first, but who does that? I was doing the head and I'm like, when am I putting the eyes in? And it didn't say anything. So I was like, ugh. So I scrolled to the end of the pattern and the assembly section says when to put the eyes in. But you assemble once you're done with all the pieces. So that was really weird to me. And then there was no helpful information as far as being able to do, it just says like embroider star on head or something like that. So it's a very minimalist pattern, let's just put it that way. I was fine with it once I just kind of realized what was going on. And then it'll be like, sew the arms on, sew the legs on. So everything is sewn on. There are no real specifics as far as what and where. Like I said, it's a very minimalist pattern. And these ears, I think, were probably the most confusing thing to me because these are a circle folded in half. And I think they look most kind of goat-like, just putting the circle on like this. But there is one photo at the end, I guess, with pattern testers or maybe just other versions that they made. And in that one, some of them look like it was folded over to make an ear and things. So it does not tell you. It just like sew the ears on. There's no anything. So, but I do love how the final product came out. The only thing I'm debating is whether or not I want to add a tail because I feel like that's missing. There was no tail in the pattern. And then the only other thing is I think I'm going to maybe tack these legs in just a touch to give him some stability. These legs are very interesting to me because it's, you know, you're crocheting in and then they have you decrease and then you're attaching the decrease, but that gives them a little bit of a wobbliness to them. So sometimes he sits up really great and other times these legs go in different directions depending on the surface that you're sitting him on. So yeah, I might just tack those so that he stays a little more tripod-y and will stand better. But I definitely do love this guy. I'm thinking I'm probably going to charge 45 or 50, probably 50 for him. Because he was a good bit of work. It was a very enjoyable process just because, I mean, I have wanted to make a Baphomet since like I started crocheting plushies. So I'm really happy with the final result. Like I said, I might just add a tail. So next up was to make the Plague Doctor by Dee Dee's Plushies. And I mentioned, I think in last week's video, that I remember not liking something about this pattern, but I thought maybe it was just that it was a lot of work. And last year when I made it, I was really in like market prep hustle state, but I've been enjoying more you know, intricate patterns lately, so I thought I'd give it another go. Let me show you my Plague Doctor. So he came out super cute. And it was much more enjoyable this time around. He's a pretty good size. I made him also parfait plush, 6.5mm hook. His little lantern is Naughty Pony, and that was with a 5.5mm hook just to kind of keep to scale. And his stethoscope is parfait chunky in fog. No, I don't remember the lighter gray color, but I had a little scrap left, so I used that for that with a 5.5mm hook as well. His little hat comes off, his little hood can go up, so you have some different options with him. I like the hood down and the hat on. But yeah, he came out really, really good. I did remember, well, I didn't remember, I realized when I was making this, the thing that I didn't like the last time, so I'll share that with you. The way that his body is made is very interesting to me. You actually start with a chain and then work up one way of the chain to kind of get to from here to here, and then you work the other side of the chain to close things up. I don't find that necessary. I feel like you could have started with a magic ring here. When you get to here, you could do like a back loop and then go up, and then you could do a front loop to put this little frill on here. And I made a note in the pattern, next time I make it, I'm gonna try that and see how it goes. So I'm just gonna work this part in reverse and then, you know, like I said, back loop and go up. Because it just, I don't love crocheting into a chain, especially if I'm looping the chain together and joining and coming up. It just seems like an unnecessary thing, and my fingers fumble with it every single time. So that is the thing that I didn't like about it last time. So I didn't like it about it this time also, but it came out really good. It's a really great pattern. I think the size is fantastic. I think for him, I'm gonna do 35. He didn't take long at all. It's pretty simple. Oh, also in the bottom here, I do have a 3D printed disc to keep this nice and flat. I didn't put any weighted pellets or anything like that. He sits great because it's a nice flat wide base. But yeah, I love him. He came out really, really good. So I was very excited to achieve the goal of making both of these things this week. And I actually have a third bonus make, although it is not going to the market with me. This is the Chubby Raccoon by Anna's Crochet Studio. And I actually made this one for my sister as a birthday gift. So like I said, he's not going to market with me, but this is how he came out. This is a really, really adorable pattern. I'm really happy with it as a gift for my sister, and it's worthwhile as a gift for my sister, but this is not something that I would make to take to a market. The effort involved with this is a little too much in my mind for the size that he comes out, and I feel like there are other raccoon patterns that are just a lot easier to execute, but he's very, very cute. He's just a lot of color change work, obviously, and a lot of color change work in a small space. So I do like how they used the baubles for his little kind of cheek snout area. And the color changes are placed in a great spot where he looks really, really good. I think he's adorable. But again, it's just something where I feel like it's a lot of work. And as a labor of love for my sister, I liked it and it was fine, but for a market, I probably wouldn't do it. You do crochet the tail in, you sew the ears on, everything else is kind of, oh, and the cookie, you have to sew the cookie on as well if you choose to make the cookie. So yeah, just a super cute little bonus make as a gift for my sister, which I'm really happy to have gotten done because I realized after I made that whole list that I needed to fit it in somewhere. So this was the perfect week because I got these other two makes done with enough time to get that done. So super happy with that. All right, that is all I have for you. I have a lot of bag charms to go work on, so I'm gonna leave it there. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please consider doing that. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.